Let's see. Okay. What I want you to do is set very specific time aside. So you can jot down some notes here while we're on this call. But beyond that, what I want you to do is look at your calendar as soon as you get off this webinar and figure out where you have space to spend maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours, really going through what has happened in the past. So you're going to ask yourself, what was your top priority in 2018? Do you actually know what it was? I bet many of you know what your goals were. L'Oreal's shaking her head, yes. Many of you know what your goals were, but what was your top priority? What did you really want most out of the year? And did you get it? Or did you get closer to it? What was that process like? What things did you do that were successful? I'm curious, were those things planned? Or did they come as a surprise? Or did they come as a result of something that opened up throughout the year? So, how much of it were you in control of, and how much of it controlled you? What areas were difficult? Where did you struggle? And I always like to call them lessons. We don't want to say that you failed, because I don't think failure is really a thing. You have the opportunity to learn in every single aspect of everything that you touch and do all day long. So where did you struggle, and what did you learn from it? One question that I think people don't ask themselves enough is, what really paid off in 2018? Whether you financially put something into something, or a lot of extra time or effort, what thing or things did you do that absolutely delivered in a big way and that you feel good about? And what is that something you want to do again, or does it lead you to the next step in something? What caused the most chaos in the past year? I like that word, because it's not always painful, but maybe just doesn't feel right. And I love, this is a great opportunity for those of you who are willing to chat, or put in a chat, or unmute yourself. What are some things that felt extremely chaotic to you? Anybody want to play just for a second? I might pick on you, L'Oreal. There you go.
Let's just, yeah. Because immediately, well, it was funny because I started off with like blaming the person, but then I realized that really it was me not setting boundaries around a certain relationship. And actually going into 2019, there's already a couple of things where I'm like, nope, I need to stop saying yes when I really mean no.
Yeah.
So something that I am being intentional about in the next year.
That's excellent. So one of the areas that I'm hearing you say you have chaos in is owning your responsibility for saying yes or no. You blame other people, but really you have more control than you think you do over a situation. And
Yeah.
L'Oreal and I've had the joy of working together before, but what I can tell all of you is that in every situation, no matter what, there's always something you can change. There's something you can personally do differently to gain some level of power or empowerment over what's happening. You may not completely change the results, but you will at least change the way you feel about what's happening. Because when we take action on things, we feel more empowered, right? Those of you who have heads that I can see, nod them. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan, do you feel more empowered when you take action on something versus when you sit back passively?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me in this past year, the chaos was starting a new job about this time last year, after spending 8 years in my previous job, which is how Heather and I know each other.
Yeah.
And then having things quickly, not go as planned at that new job, and then kind of formulating a strategy around what I was going to do. Like you said, was I going to passively sit back and just kind of go along for the ride, or take a decisive action on that? So
Absolutely. And all of those things, they happen, this sounds so trite, but they happen for a reason. Things guide us. Where we get the magic is in by paying attention to them, looking at the choices we made, looking at the things that came to us. Did we want them? I got my hair done today. Y'all can see it's actually really done. Usually it's in a ponytail. So there you go. And my hairstylist said, oh, it's everything. I asked her if she had a word for the year, which I've been working on my word for the year. And more in the goal setting, less in the reflection end of it. But it's important for me to sort of manifest this thing that I want to really put my energy into each year. And she goes, oh, it's all I can do to just make sure I have enough gas in the car and enough food on the table. And I was like, wow, you get what you ask for out of life. And if all you want is enough to get by, that is all you're going to get. So when you're thinking about what happened in the past year to plan for what you want to happen in the next year, don't do the bare bones basics. Don't think about, boy, how did I scrape by? Think about what was big and grand and beautiful. Think about what you can celebrate. Think about what moved you. Yes, you want to talk about the things that didn't work exactly like you wanted, but don't gloss over the things that you can celebrate, and dream big picture, because you are going to get what you ask for. So continuing on with the worksheets, you're going to want to think about things like what you enjoyed most. To me, this is a big deal. There are a lot of things in our lives that we have to do. I hate the word have to do. Y'all know my story about Tessa, right? Have you all heard that? Ryan, do you know my Tessa story? Sorry, L'Oreal, you're going to have to hear it again. She is 9 now, but when she was 7, we were rushing out the door one morning, and I said, you have to hurry. You have to put your shoes on. We have to leave. She said, why? Why do we have to? And I said, well, because I have to work, and you have to get to school so I can get back on time. Well, but why do you have to? I'm like, well, Jesus, Tessa, like, I don't have time for this. I have to because it's my job, and I have people depending on me, and I need to pay the bills, and I need to make sure you have food on the table. And she goes, you don't have to feed me. You want to feed me because you love me and you don't want me to die. It's like, well played, kid. Sorry, I tried to make it the short version for you there, L'Oreal. Overall, and she reminds me regularly, you don't have to, mommy. And guess what? You don't. You don't have to do anything. But there are things in life to get the result that we want that we must do regularly, like feed our children or show up to work on time or return people's phone calls or clean the house, because we want that desired result. My question to you is, which of those things did you enjoy doing? What are you spending your time doing that feels good? And how can you do more of that? And conversely, what doesn't feel so good? And is there any way to outsource any version of that? Is there any way you can delegate, or you can ask for help from somebody? Like if it's a home thing, is there somebody who can help you empty the dishes? If it's a work thing, do you have team members that you can pass things on to, or an accountability partner? You know, there are a lot of different ways to make things less stressful for ourselves if we're simply willing to admit that we are not in this alone. And the reality of it is most of us aren't in it alone unless we allow ourselves to be in it alone. You can get support from someone, somewhere, somehow. I would like to know how you financially invested in yourself this year. Well, you're not going to tell me, but I would like you to know how you financially invested in yourself this year. Where did you put your money where your mouth was to make things better? And did that pay off? What were your lessons learned from that? Is that something you want to do again? Or did you discover that from that work, you wanted to put some money and effort into a different type of project, right? And then what are you most proud of? Don't forget about those wins. I've said it multiple times, but you're going to keep coming back to it because it's just so crucial. And then this last question I absolutely love, and I'd love to maybe hear some of you tell me your thoughts on it, is if you could go back in time and give yourself a pep talk for the year ahead, what would you say? Ryan, I'd love to hear what you say because you went through a job search, right? So what would you tell yourself this time last year?
I would tell myself to just trust the process and know that everything's going to work out in the end, like even better than you think is possible. And and everything did work out so much better than I thought it might or thought it could in the long run. So I just kind of give myself a pat on the back and say, like, just stay the course and trust the process.
And I love that. And I want you to say that to yourself. But what I also challenge each of you to do in this is give yourself concrete information. Talk to your past self, like, do XXX thing, or keep doing XXX thing, or try this thing, because now you know something you didn't know before. And my guess is if you talk to last year's self that way, you can talk to next year's self that way too. You'll learn more. Anybody have questions on this worksheet? No? Okay. So some things, we're going to wrap up really soon. Some things to consider as you sit down to do this is take your time. This is, if you're going to really do it well. Don't rush into this type of work. You want to be honest. You want to sit down and let it actually be beneficial to you. Give yourself, honesty and truth and be accountable, celebrate your wins. I want you to make sure that this has the level of intention that you want so that your results at the end of 2019 reflect that you put this much time and effort into it. Accountability is a big deal. I talk a lot about accountability both when I'm speaking, when I'm teaching, when I'm coaching, and this works in the reflection and reassessment phase as well. Who else can you talk to about what went well for you? What did other people observe in you? How can they help push you to be a little further? I know that L'Oreal has a really great accountability team system, but who are you accountable to, and how are you accountable to yourself? And work with other people to make sure that you're not leaving anything on the table. Sometimes we don't see in ourselves what other people see in ourselves, and a support system makes a really big difference. Anybody have questions about that? No? Okay. Well, I'm pretty much done. I do want to share something with you guys, but before we do that, I want to ask those of you who are willing to chime in. And Tracy, I see that you're there, and I think I can even hear you on the end. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this too. When do you plan to set intentional time aside to reassess and reflect on the past year?
I'm going to do it this afternoon.
Excellent. How do you feel going into it?
That's why I signed up for this webinar, because I know I need to do this.
Okay.
I'm in my second year. I'm just finished my second year of business. Things have been a little chaotic, but I have had a lot of wins. I just need to sit down and really chew on that, find the threads that I want to continue and the ones that I want to not continue for next year.
Excellent. Good. What about you, L'Oreal? When are you going to sit down and do the work?
Well, I'm an overachiever, so I may or may not have started before the webinar. And been jotting down notes so they don't escape me while we were talking. But because I booked this room for a full hour and we have time left over, I'm going to finish it after this call.
Excellent. I love that. Love it, love it, love it. And Ryan, how about you?
So next week is going to be kind of a short week in the office. We're off on Monday, Tuesday for the holiday, but then I'll be here Wednesday through Friday next week. There's a lot of folks, understandably taking some time off to travel and spend time with their families, so it'll be nice and quiet in here. So I'm going to block out some time, probably on Wednesday, because I feel like I might be one of the only people here. So I can get a meeting room and kind of hash through everything from 2018 and spend some more time on my goals for 2019, which I have my Evernote open for right now.
Excellent. I love that. And I can't stress enough what you just said. Schedule that time. I know people are trying to get in, but they can't get in because I can't get to it. Schedule that time intentionally. Set it aside. Know that that's what you're going to be doing next. So that we do have a guest on that I actually don't know. Do you want to tell us? You want to unmute yourself and tell us when you plan to do this work? I'm going to give you 2 seconds. You can say no. This person's like, no way. That's fine. Oh, hey.
Hi, no, that's fine. Hi, I'm Hadass. I'm here with Amber, who you've spoken to on the phone before.
Hi there. Hi, Amber.
As well as Dan and Erin. Hi, Ryan. I think it's really important to set aside time to do this. And similar to Ryan, I'll probably tackle it next week at some point before the 31st, just so that I go into the new year with fresh perspective and some good pointers to myself on what I need to do to set myself up for success.
Excellent. I love that. What about you, Amber?
Same as Hadas. I think next week is a good week before the new year to kind of focus and reset.
Good deal. Well, I would love for all of you, you're all invited to let me know how it goes. Shoot me an email. If you have my phone number, you can send me a text message. Or if you see me passing in the halls, Tracy, I would love to know what this process is like for you, how it feels and what it opened up for you. And if you felt more prepared for setting realistic and achievable goals based on the work that you've done. Before I let you go, I just want to let everybody know that I have a couple spots left in my group coaching program. This is the first time that I have done this type of program, but I've had several people asking. So it's a maximum of 6 people, very small group. It's January, February, 2 calls a month. And we are going to figure out what you really want from the year, how to achieve it, work on mindset, accountability, shared knowledge and leadership, systems and effectiveness. And overall, I promise it's going to like help you get your house in order. If you want to know more about that, I can tell you, but it's $1,000 investment, which is, as some folks here can tell you, is absolutely a deal based on what my coaching programs typically cost. So if you're interested in that, let me know. And as an added benefit for any of you on this call, I'll throw in a free gratitude journal, which should come in February, and I'll send it to you as a gift because I'm super excited about my gratitude journal. If you want to talk about gratitude, we can spend some time in that space. That's it though. And I'm here, I can hang out for a little bit, have questions, stay in touch. If you want to know more, grab a 15-minute coffee date with me. I would love to do that. I honor in each of you that you have taken the time to sit here and that you are planning to do the pre-work to set your goals up and to set yourself up for success, because I know that each of you are going to absolutely slay the year ahead. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Heather.
Thanks,
Thank
Heather.